Hello, my name is Megan Carroll. I am an assistant professor in the sociology department, and I'm here to talk about my asexual intimacies research project. So this project is the product of a collaboration between myself and a research advisory board, which is made up of community partners like the Asexual Visibility and Education Network, ACE Los Angeles, Asexual Outreach, and many more. Some of my community partners are organizations like these. Some of them are individual activists. In total, I have 11 or 12 community partners at this point. And I really wanted to have input for this project at the local, state, national, and international level, which we've accomplished. So it's a very large advisory board of partners who have helped inform the research from the beginning. I also chose partners based on people who could mobilize knowledge very effectively, people who had close ties to the community. And I was also thoughtful about keeping the project intersectional. So some of my board members have specialties in certain sub-communities of asexualities, like race, ethnicity, or disability. And I relied on their expertise to shape the project and make sure that many sides of the community would see themselves represented in this research. So if you're not familiar with asexuality, it is a sexual orientation category that represents little to no sexual attraction to people of any gender. So if you're not feeling sexual attraction towards anybody, that's going to lead to interesting challenges and interesting dynamics of relationships and families and other institutions that have a stake in how we experience sexual attraction. So what I did with my advisory board is we had a meeting over Zoom, and then we had some Google Docs where board members could give input on research questions to pursue, and we talked about goals of the project. And so here are sort of the 6 goals that we shaped our project around. Goal number 1 is just increase visibility of ACE and ARO. That's short for asexual and aromantic community through research. We wanted to prioritize the inclusion and representation of minoritized identities within the asexual and aromantic community, especially BIPOC and disabled folks. We wanted to publish research in both academic and non-academic venues, facilitate communication between the asexual community and researchers, disseminate research findings in a way that is accessible to members of the community, and finally, influence social policy through research briefs and political engagement. So the theme of our research, this particular project, is friendship, relationships, family. And we sort of pursued research questions that follow those themes. And we have other research questions that we can pursue in the future that we came up with as a group. You'll notice that these goals we came up with are very broad, and that they look a lot like goals for any kind of community engaged research. But we found it really helpful to sort of write down and come to agreement on what do we want to accomplish with this work, because that has served as a guideline as we move forward with each stage of the project. It's also worth mentioning that participants that I've interviewed have been really excited about the idea that what we learn from them isn't just going to be stuck behind a paywall, that we have plans to help the community through what we find and to make sure the information gets out to the community. So everyone involved at every stage of the process is really invested in serving the community through this project. Where our project is right now, we're sort of transitioning from data collection to analysis. We distribute a survey to select participants, and that survey received about 2,000 eligible responses, which is amazing. Most survey questions reflected a larger survey so that we could use mixed methods later on and sort of put our data in context of a quantitative approach to the community. With that survey, we used quota sampling to choose interviewees. So we decided ahead of time we wanted a certain number of participants from different demographic groups, and we could use the survey to sort of select people's demographics and make sure that our interviewee selection remained very diverse. So far we've collected 46 interviews, 61% were people of color, 70% are disabled in some way. So I think that again reflects our goals of the research and how that's sort of borne out in the interviews we've conducted. We're now transitioning to the analysis stage, and later on we have plans to do like town halls or create infographics, do some social media outreach, and definitely get that information out to the community. Some tips for those of you who are interested in pursuing community engaged research, or maybe you're thinking of creating a research advisory board. My advice is to start small. Having 11 to 12 partners has been very challenging just in terms of managing a large team. And I think that it's a good idea to start with fewer partners so that you can sort of build those relationships. And if you feel the need to bring more people on, you can network through your existing partnerships. Also, be mindful of everyone's time. This is sort of a principle of CVPR in Carroll anyway, but in my case, what this meant for so many different partners is that I would give them opportunities to engage, but not require them to participate in every opportunity. So for instance, some partners, I told them, if you want to get more involved in the research, if you want to help me with transcripts, help me with coding, that's an option for you. Here's how to do the CD training. And a few partners did follow through with that and have been more involved with the identifiable data. Some partners were more involved in the design stage. Some partners will be more involved in the write-up and analysis stage. So it's really about creating opportunities for people to give input where they feel their strengths can really shine more. Stay in communication about the plan for the project. So in my case, I created sort of a document to guide partners through the different stages of the project and to say like, this is what's going to happen at each stage. And so when I email them with updates, I can refer back to that document and say, okay, this is where we are now, and this is where we're going next. So it's actually been helpful for me to have sort of the guidelines mapped out like that. It's kept me really organized to stay in communication with them. Finally, my advice is to try to gather information about the payment process early on and brace your community partners for a lot of red tape. I think having the size of advisory board that I do, the biggest challenge has been just how much time has gone towards paperwork and trying to make sure that our grant money ends up in the hands of our community partners and their organizations. And the state makes that really difficult to do. And so I think that there's still more work I could be doing to understand every stage, every step of the payment process, because as faculty, I feel very much in charge of the research, but then the financial stuff is something that, we're not really trained for. And it is really important to get a hold of that as you're pursuing community partnerships. All right, so thanks for listening. If you have any questions about the project or you want to talk more about building community partnerships, you can always reach out to me. My email is megan.carroll@csusb.edu. Thanks for listening and best of luck with your project.